For most people, Memorial Day marks the official beginning of summer with picnics and parades. In my family, it was always called Decoration Day, and it was quite important. What was Decoration Day, and what happened to it?
Let's dig into this.
Warning, viewer discretion advised.
On Decoration Day, when you were a kid, we used to pack up the car with cleaning and gardening tools and go off to the cemetery to tend to the graves of your great-grandparents. It was always important in our family that the graves were tended and looked nice for Memorial Day.
Until 1968, Memorial Day was called Decoration Day. It started after the deadliest war in U.S. history, the Civil War. In the late 1860s, entire communities would turn out to take care of their local cemetery, and families would place memorials on their relatives' graves. Many claim Decoration Day tradition comes from the southern U.S., but our relatives from out west celebrated it every year.
The first recognized Decoration Day was May 30th of 1868. James A. Garfield, who was a representative from Ohio at the time, gave a speech to over 5,000 people at the newly formed Arlington National Cemetery on the importance of remembering those who had given their lives for the country in the Civil War.
And in May of 1918, when thousands of American troops were fighting in World War I, the U.S. Army held memorial ceremonies in temporary cemeteries throughout France. In 1919, President Woodrow Wilson gave a Memorial Day speech at the American Cemetery outside Paris, one of 8 permanent overseas cemeteries for our World War I dead. During World War II, ceremonies were held again in temporary cemeteries near battlegrounds, which became 14 permanent overseas American cemeteries after the war.
But it wasn't a holiday. While Decoration Day was growing in popularity and most states started adopting a day of official remembrance by 1890, the day varied from place to place. It wasn't until the 1968 U.S. Uniform Monday Holiday Act, enacted to give federal employees a 3-day weekend on most recognized holidays, that Memorial Day was given an official name and date. With no Civil War veterans alive by that time, Memorial Day recognized the deceased from all U.S. wars.
It was always Decoration Day in our family, and it encompassed all of our deceased relatives. And I remember my mom and grandmother talking about what chores needed to be done that day and which relative was at which cemetery. Later, they would report on what was done at each grave. There's always a sense of accomplishment and pride in the proof relatives were not forgotten.
It was also a time to take the kids, passing along family history. But it seems to be a tradition that's been lost, maybe generations ago in most families.
A few traditions still exist, and you may notice people wearing red poppies on Memorial Day. They were originally meant to be worn in November, though.
World War I saw more than 8.5 million soldiers die from battle injuries. Known as the Great War, it would inspire one of the longest-lasting symbols of fallen servicemen and women, the red poppy.
Battlefield Surgeon Lieutenant Colonel John McCrae saw the effects of battle, where chlorine gas was used for the first time in combat and more than 87,000 Allied soldiers were injured, killed, or went missing. And among the carnage, he saw red poppies. He wrote a poem called In Flanders Field, which would become world famous and mentioned the red poppies among the dead.
Inspired by the poem, Anna Guerin's idea of using the poppy as a symbol of the fallen and selling artificial poppies made by wounded veterans to fund the restoration of war-torn France was adopted by the American Legion and the Royal British Legion. In 1921, the British Legion held the first poppy appeal, which sold millions of the flowers and raised over 100,000 pounds, a great deal of money at the time, to help Great War veterans. Just a year later, a factory was set up in Richmond, England, employing disabled veterans making fabric and paper poppies for the cause. It's still making poppies today.
Millions of people throughout the world wear red poppies on Armistice Day, November 11th, to commemorate the end of the Great War. National Poppy Day in the US didn't catch on, and November 11th was later named Veterans Day. While most wear the poppy that day, you will still see them on Memorial Day too.
You may not be aware that since 2000, public law has said that we should observe 1 minute of silence to pay tribute to those who have made the ultimate sacrifice at 3 p.m. local time. It's called the National Moment of Remembrance and was enacted to remind folks of what Memorial Day means.
And there are specific flag rules unique to Memorial Day too. The flag is raised to half staff in the morning and is raised to full staff at noon. It is slowly lowered at sunset. Memorial Day is the only day the flag is raised both to half and full staff.
Thanks for watching.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Hey, here's another DragonDen video you might like.
And if you like this video, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button.
And you can hit the notification bell if you'd like to know when our videos come out.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.